Well, hi, I'm Barry Nicholson. I'm from the Music Money Podcast. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about how you can build a money making business with your music, even on a shoestring budget. Well, today I'm going to take a little bit different approach. I'm going to talk about a new artist that I discovered that I'm really excited about. And I'm going to take a look at their marketing and kind of hit their business model and point out some things that I think are great and some things that I probably would change. So here's the background. So I heard about this new artist on Reddit. I'm actually in a music theory marketing or a music theory forum on Reddit, and I had posed the question to the people in there. I was looking for artists who use interesting chord changes in their songs, songwriters particularly. So because I'm a big fan of kind of Electric Light Orchestra, Steely Dan, some groups that, from the back in the 70s that used a lot of interesting chord changes in their music. And so I was kind of looking for modern artists that did the same just for my own personal listening. And so I had a guy chime in and he said, "Hey, you should check out Marcus King." And I'd never heard of Marcus King. Maybe you heard of him. So I just immediately went over to Apple Music, which is the app that I mainly use. Just personally, I don't use Spotify. I just use Apple Music because that's what my family has always used. And so I listened to this album called El Dorado by Marcus King. Absolutely loved it. I mean, it just was, I sat there, I was working on something and I ended up listening to the whole record just start to finish in one sitting. And I was just really into it. It's just so you'll know, Marcus he got kind of known as being kind of a guitar hero kind of guy. He's a young man. He's 25 years old, but that was really not what turned me on to what I was listening to, because I was expecting kind of a blues guitar kind of thing. He does a fair amount of that, but it's the material on the album was just, every track was just slightly different, and he had a real soulful stuff, almost kind of gospel kind of vibes, some country kind of feeling stuff, and kind of Americana. And apparently he's was nominated for a Grammy. I found out after the fact in the Americana category. So I was curious. And actually, on an aside, and this is kind of a somewhat instructive thing. So I was so excited about this, so I hit the little share button on the Apple Music thing and went to my Facebook, my personal Facebook, and posted this. And I said, hey, if you're looking for an artist that's really exciting, up and coming artist, you might want to check this out. And I noticed yesterday when I was looking at it, after been a few days, my post only got one thumbs up from a friend of mine. So, if anything, that is a kind of a minor instructive thing to show that, I just posted the link directly to Apple Music. I did not post a music video or something. I think if you're going to try to share your music on Spotify or on Facebook or any other social platform, especially if you're trying to share it with friends, it's something that you probably should always share a video, because a link to just a Spotify or Apple Music profile with just a static image is probably not the best thing in the world. Okay, so here's the thing. The thing that really struck with me is that when I went to this artist's Apple Music profile, that Apple Music doesn't really offer anything for the artist to kind of continue their relationship with a new fan or even an old fan. In other words, there's nothing on the Apple Music profile that has a link where you can, link to the artist's website or to their YouTube channel or anything. And now Spotify is a little bit better, because they have an offers area where artists can link to their own merch, through Merch Bar. I'm assuming that Spotify probably has a relationship with Merch Bar to try to capitalize on that. And then, but they don't have areas where you can link to your Instagram or any kind of outside link. And that's a big problem, because, I'll give you another example. There was an artist that came out that I heard a few years ago. Again, it was through a friend, that he's just said, hey, you need to check out. They're called the Revivalists. And I listened to a couple of their songs and I was like, yeah, I really like this. And so I added a couple of their songs to one of my playlists on Apple Music. And that was it. I've often thought about that situation. And what I mean by that is because I didn't go any further with that artist as far as like checking out their website or looking at their Instagram or doing anything with them, and honestly just kind of forgot about them. I think they may have even had maybe a new album that came out since that happened. But since I'm not on any kind of mailing list, I don't follow them on social, nothing inspired me really to go and check out their social. So what I want to convey is that, there's a lot of people that are putting, in fact, most artists that I see when they make comments in Reddit or other music forums, they seem solely focused on getting their streams up on Spotify, or, really Spotify, not so much Apple Music. That's almost kind of it's kind of like the other streaming platform that other people use. But, just remember that these platforms, they don't want people to go off platform. They want people to stay on platform because that's how they get their advertising revenue, right? And, so if you're spending all of your energies trying to get Spotify plays, but you don't have anything in place, and Spotify doesn't even have anything for you to use. So it makes it even extra challenging. So anyway, so back to Marcus King, is that I was really struck by this idea that I have this new artist that I've discovered, but unless I actually take action and go try to find their website or try to find their social media, that I'm probably not going to take that relationship further. I mean, I might follow them on Spotify. I think maybe I followed, or on Apple Music. I honestly don't remember if I followed them or not. So what I'm trying to convey is that we as artists, we have to make sure to keep in mind that, that we need to have things in place so when people do bother to come to our websites or they do bother to come to our socials, that we really try to capture that audience and that relationship, because that's really what this is about at the end of the day. As I said, what I'd like to show you on this podcast episode is how to build a money-making business with your music, even on a shoestring budget. But that money most likely will not come from Spotify. I've kind of ranted about that before, and it probably won't come from YouTube. I mean, YouTube can pay its influencers like really, really well, but I don't know too many artists that, unless they're just a major artist, but kind of small indie artists that are just blowing up on YouTube, just putting out music. Now, maybe doing covers, maybe, I don't know, but I'm just trying to say is that, the most money that you're going to be able to get that's predictable is going to come from the actual customers that you generate. So, all right, so here I am this new fan of a new artist that I'm excited about. So I went and checked out his website, and I kind of looked at the layout of his website, and he had his latest music video at the top. He had, the next thing was like, they advertised their merch, and then they talked about their tour dates. And at the bottom, there was this little blurb that just said, sign up for our newsletter, basically. And there was an email form, just nothing in there, no reason that I should sign up for their email newsletter other than just to sign up, which I didn't, because it just doesn't really look all that interesting. Now, if they would have said something like, hey, here, get a few unreleased tracks or some bootlegs or something like that, just when you sign up for our email list, if you gave me some type of offer, some type of advantage that there would be to actually sign up and take action now, maybe I would have. And they would have had the opportunity to capture my email address to communicate with me in the future. But there was nothing like that going on. So, and again, I'm not trying to beat up on this artist at all. What I actually kind of found a little bit surprising is he's signed to an independent label. It's the same label as some fairly good size artists are signed to. It looks like I don't know if they have a marketing company working with them or not. But I'm not trying to beat up on anybody or say, hey, they're dropping the ball. I just don't think that people think this thing all the way through. So just again, kind of going down through what was happening on there. So I also happened to notice that they had a Facebook Pixel installed on their website. So what is a Facebook Pixel? Okay, Facebook Pixel is a tracking code that when you're doing Facebook and Instagram advertising, that it's a code that you're given to put on your website or any landing pages or any kind of web properties that you control, that enables you to track when somebody goes from one of your Facebook or Instagram ads and goes to your website or your landing page. You can track that they did that activity. You can track, usually, like if you have a marketing funnel in place where you're advertising something and maybe you're asking for a purchase at some point in there, or asking them to opt in, you can actually track that activity. But also in general, it just allows you to basically kind of, for lack of a better word, cookie. That's not the actual correct phrase, but you cookie somebody to track them, so you at least know that at some point, maybe within the last year, that a certain person came to your website, like I just did. So I went from Apple Music, I went to check out Marcus King's website. So now Facebook, the Pixel, knows that I've been to Marcus King's website. But here's the thing. I went to see, you can actually look up the Facebook ads library, and it's just something you can just Google it, and you can see if they're actively running any advertising or have run any advertising. And at that particular, for his particular Facebook page, it says has not been any Facebook ads that have been run. So I'm sitting here wondering, it's like, okay, if you have the Facebook Pixel installed on the website, you have a golden opportunity then that when I go check my Facebook or my Instagram, you could run an ad that, may say, for anything. It could say, hey, you can get a limited edition vinyl, or you can pick up a t-shirt, or you could sign up for our email list and get, those free bootleg recordings not available anywhere else, or you could join our fan club or something like that. But because there's no ads running, I mean, they could run ads in the future, because now, unless I actually go in and just clear my, the tracking off of my browser, they could advertise to me in the future. But it seemed like a huge wasted opportunity, because the danger here, and what I'm really trying to convey with this message is that people will forget about you. They will, just like I kind of forgot about the revivalists. Now I'm trying not to forget about Marcus King. People need to be reminded, and we have a golden opportunity with the Facebook Pixel and on Instagram that we can follow up. And it's not just that. I mean, you can actually do something very similar with Google. You could do it with YouTube. You can install a tracking script that where, if you know that somebody has come to your website, which is a property that you own, you can then advertise to them. And it doesn't have to be heavy advertising. It can be just a few bucks a day. But you can follow up with them to stay with them. Maybe you want to buy them to buy tickets to your tour or something when you come through their area. There's so much you can do, but the danger is if you don't do these kinds of things, that people absolutely will forget about you and then just kind of go about their merry way. So, I think there's really something to be learned here. Now, just to go a little bit further. So I was kind of clicking around again on his website, and I noticed that he has a fan club, which I was actually pleasantly surprised to see that. I think that is a fantastic idea. But from what I could tell, there was only one link on his website to the fan club, and the fan club itself, I checked to see it, and there was no Facebook Pixel on the fan club site. And so, as far as I know, again, I didn't look at it that closely. Most likely they will not know that through the tracking that I actually went to look at the fan club site. So they could, had they had the Facebook Pixel installed, they could have turned around and advertised to me and says, hey, join the fan club. Here's a special offer, a special incentive to get you to join the fan club. Anyway, so about this artist, keep in mind, this is somebody who, this artist apparently was just recently on Jimmy Fallon. He is on tour currently, or will be soon, with Chris Stapleton. He has a limited edition guitar released through Gibson. He's represented by William Morris Booking Agency, which of course is a world famous agency. He's on the same management as Greta Van Fleet. He has millions of Spotify streams. So the thing is this artist is doing fine, certainly. He's reached a pinnacle that the vast 99% or more of artists will never reach. But he could be doing better, right? And this is not me placing judgment. It's what you to think about is that most of us, again, will never be on Jimmy Fallon. We'll never be on tour with a major touring artist, or represented by William Morris or any other major booking agencies. But we don't have to be. You see, those give those artists major exposure. Most of us will never reach that. But with a shoestring budget, we can still get our music in front of the types of fans that we would like to attract. If we have a plan in place, we can also eventually monetize that audience, get them to pay for something, and get them as part of our mailing list and that type of thing. So how does this relate to you? Okay, so you need to think through your customer journey. that's why really, and I don't know the solution to this whole situation with Spotify and Apple Music not really having links, and they're probably not going to where you can get links from, to come to your website or to come to your Instagram. You're counting on people just sort of like taking that action on their own. And the vast majority of people never will, right? So that's why, I'm not saying that you shouldn't pursue Spotify or Apple Music. You certainly should. But I really believe that, in order to control your business, because that's what this is, it's a music business. If you want to make money out of it, it has to be looked at as a business, that you should control that entire process as much as possible. So, I really believe that the first time that someone should hear about you should be an ad, and that you should control that. That means that you will have to spend money. Now, what's the best way to do advertising? There's lots of ways to do that. You could send them. I like it to be in my control. I have a Facebook ad or an Instagram ad. It runs to a landing page that I control, a landing page that I own, and that enables me to track it. So I at least know that person took that action. Maybe they watched a music video in the Facebook or Instagram feed. They thought it was good. I can put an offer in front of them. The offer that I run a lot, I've been running it for a year, is a free CD offer. That may not work for you with your style of music. It works for me. It's a free plus shipping offer for $7.97 all in. They can get a free CD and all the downloads, that type of thing. Other people just do straight up downloads. Downloads of digital music. That's one way to do it. There's other ways you can do this, but you want to send them to a landing page that, again, you can track the activity. Sending them to your Spotify profile. Again, I've seen a lot of people do that because they're trying to drive up those Spotify numbers. But again, chances are it's not going to drive your Spotify numbers up that much. Plus, there's no way to, now you will know that they have clicked on it at that point, but that's really all you know. You don't know if they followed you. You don't know if they actually even played your song. You just know that they actually took a clicking action, which is pretty good. You can come back and you can retarget them. We'll talk about retargeting here in a second, to do something else. But I still believe that it just makes a lot more sense if you're controlling your business, controlling your future, to send them to a landing page that you control to get them to take a certain action. Because your goal really, in my opinion, should be that you should build an email list and or a text message list. Because these are incredibly powerful ways to sell tickets. If you do live shows, or if you even plan on doing live shows in the future, to set an email list and or a text message list, an SMS list, is going to be one of the most valuable assets you could possibly own, because then you can communicate directly with people. It's also a great way, of course, to sell merch. If you want to do a crowdfunding campaign for your next record or for your next music video, again, when you can communicate to people directly who have shown an interest in your music, have bought your music, or even just downloaded it, and tell your story, and now they're part of your little tribe, you can raise money for crowdfunding campaigns. And of course, you can announce any kind of new releases, new videos, new music, and drive your traffic that you now own, your list that you now own, to the Spotify and Apple Music profiles, right? Plus, it allows you to just build engagement, to build a relationship with your fans. I mean, how many artists do you know that you're maybe big fans of, that how cool would it be if they had an email list and you felt like that they were sending stuff that was kind of giving you the inside track on stuff, right? I mean, it just works. It just plain works. So you might be wondering, okay, so fine, I'm good with putting an email list or an SMS list together. So how do I get people to sign up for it? Well, one great way is to put a compelling offer on your website. Now, it could be a free unreleased song. It could be a number of free unreleased songs. It could be bootleg recordings, live recordings, something like that. Even music videos maybe that you don't have on YouTube, or something like that, or a behind the scenes, just something that's special that they can't get in other places, that they can only get in exchange for their email list and or in exchange for their text message number. Another offer would be like, they could get, especially if you do a lot of live shows and you can kind of control the ticketing, you could release like an early bird ticket list. So only the people on your email list get access to early bird tickets. that is something that my band does, because we do a certain live show here in our hometown where it's all ticketed events. There's limited seats available. And we say, look, you have to be on our email list. We announce to our email list before we announce on social when the tickets are made available. And, we get people that sign up for our email list every day, and that may be the major reason that they do it. Talked about a topic called retargeting. Retargeting is an extremely powerful, it's a fairly advanced advertising technique, but it's not difficult to understand. It's really not that difficult to set up. So the idea with retargeting is with Facebook and Instagram advertising, and it's actually the same with YouTube and Google advertising, but I'll focus on Facebook and Instagram because they're the same advertising platform. You can set up, when somebody takes an action that you want them to take, you can show them a different ad or even the same ad once they kind of fall into that second bucket or the third bucket or fourth bucket. It's kind of the customer journey. So if you think in terms of this, like if somebody sees my music video and the video is, say, 4 minutes long, but you want to advertise to people to take a certain action if they watched over 2 minutes of the videos. Because if they've watched 50% of it, they're probably pretty interested in your music, right? Well, you could set up a secondary campaign with a special offer to just those people. Because all the other people that watched your video for maybe 1 second or 10 seconds, they're probably not interested, or they maybe don't even paying attention, right? So if you go after the people that watched your video for 2 minutes and then you do a secondary ad that's maybe a different music video, or it could be the same one, but just slightly different text, or it could have an offer that says, hey, get this song for free, or get this song and 5 others for free, sign up for our email list, or, you get a free CD, we'll ship it to you, just pay shipping and handling. That's what we do. That can be a very effective method to help follow up with people that have expressed interest in you. Well, that's just one method that Facebook gives you. There's actually tons of different ones. You can have retargeting in place for people that visit your website or only visit certain pages on your website. So say like you're selling tickets to a show, and you can actually do this through a lot of the ticketing platforms that are out there. They allow you to put your Facebook pixel on there. So say they come to your ticketing platform or the page that you've made for your show, but they didn't buy a ticket. Well, it doesn't mean that they're not interested. Maybe they're just waiting on a friend to get back with them to tell them if they want to go to the concert or not, right? Well, if they just come there and you don't follow up with them through retargeting, maybe they'll forget, or maybe they'll go get distracted and to go do something else. But when you have the retargeting in place, that enables you to put out a second message that comes through and says, hey, don't forget, don't buy your tickets by this certain date, or you might miss out, or, the reserve seats are disappearing fast, or some other sense of urgency for them to take action now and not wait any longer, right? So retargeting is essential to a marketing plan of any sort for any business. I believe it's critical, but and music is no different, because remember, again, coming back to that same premise, people that are interested in your music will most likely forget about you if you don't follow up with them. It's really no different than like trying to do business with somebody and like calling and leaving a message or filling out a form online and them never really getting back with you. That's happened more times than I care to think about. And it always amazes me that people don't follow up. And that's actually actively going out and saying, hey, I need you to call me back to give me a quote on this particular thing. Or, it amazes me that businesses don't follow up. Well, with musicians and artists, people really don't necessarily need our music in their lives. I mean, we like to think that they do, but they could probably get on okay without it. So we even have to be sort of more aggressive, for lack of a better word, that we follow up with people who have expressed an interest in us, get them in the boat, if you will, get them to join our lists, get them to join our pixel, to be in our retargeting lists, and always be putting something in front of them. Doesn't always have to be sales. It could just be, something to get them a little further down the line. Because what do people do? Our biggest fans are the ones who will be, they'll buy our merch. They'll come to our shows. They'll tell friends about it. I actually had a guy reach out to me today and said, hey, I got that CD. I've actually bought it 3 times. And he's asking if he can basically buy it in bulk because he's given it away so many times to different people. And I'm like, okay, that's great. I mean, those are super fans, right? Those are the types of people that we want. they're not all of our fans are going to be super fans, right? It's going to be a small percentage, but that's the journey, right? Do we have a journey in place to where, like, ideally the super fan will buy those tickets, they'll give those CDs away, they'll tell their friends about it, they'll, gobble up everything that we ever send to them, but if we don't have a process in place to get them there, they'll never get there, right? So I hope this made sense, and I hope that's shared with you some ideas on how you can build a sustainable money-making music business and have a plan in place to make it happen.